Welcome, Dr. Shane here. I thought it would be fun to talk about what we refer to as the skin biome or the gut-skin axis. And the reason I thought it would be an important topic is because we tend to see, or we are seeing a lot more rashes, allergies, hives, and other forms of skin irritation. And because of this, I think it's important to recognize the fact that we have this really dynamic skin microbiome. And yet it's a lot less understood. So although we've done a lot of work in the microbiome that resides throughout the gut, the GI, we haven't done as much, although it is a growing area of research where there's much more work being done on the skin microbiome. There's some technical challenges, and that is every part of our skin is a different ecosystem. For example, when you think of our body as a giant ecosystem, there's ecologies, there's these niche ecologies where the face tends to be a source of a higher sebum production, the oils on the face, whereas the back and the forearms tend to be a much more arid or desert style. And then of course there's areas that, of moisture in the groin or under the arms. These tend to be a much humid, more rainforest environment. Each of these microbiomes, therefore, is from a organism standpoint, a different culture lives in each area. So depending on where and what is happening in your body, you can experience changes in these microbiomes, which can lead to things like rashes, new odors, different forms of hives, etc. And they can be triggered by a gut to skin response, which means that we still need to deal with the gut and the nutrient profile that we're providing our gut, but it can be external, because if you think about it, your skin is exposed to enormous numbers of compounds. They can be new organisms, molds, they can be plant pollens, other types of pet dander, other humans, etc. So there's a lot of things that are happening environmentally, exogenously to the skin. So when we look at the skin biome and we want to improve the health of our skin biome, we have to be 100% considerate about what we're putting on. So likewise to the things we eat, we have to be very conscientious about the things we put on our skin. They need to be of natural origin. Avoid as many of these technical terms on your lotions, your shampoos, your conditioners, cosmetics. Avoid. And if you can't, if you read it and you can't pronounce it, these polyacrylamides or these cetyl pneumonia butyrates, etc., these things are not necessarily healthy for the biome. Our biome is diverse, yes, but it also requires a level of natural product that it can either metabolize or that doesn't create an antibiotic effect on the biome. Because once we get dysbiosis on the skin, and it can be from all these factors, either what we're putting on there or what we're eating, these things cause what we call a dysbiosis of the skin microbiome, and then that triggers the immune system to respond. And the response of our immune system creates inflammation, which leads to the rashes, the flakiness, the dry, the itch. And there's a number of key players that have already been identified in the biome. So for example, Staphylococcus aureus can be very pathogenic, can be very disruptive to the skin. It's found primarily in these highly rash or what we call dermatitises, and especially in young people, the eczema or atopic dermatitis, that tends to be a overgrowth of Staph aureus. Now it has a natural competitor called Staph epidermidis, and Staph aureus has a really an arsenal of what causes the itching and the inflammatory response. And yet there's this other organism we call Staph epidermidis that when it competes with Staph aureus, it can overgrow and push out Staph aureus and create a natural or a eubiomic dynamic again, which is the opposite of a dysbiome, and that's what we want. We want the right organisms in the right places. So the take-home message is be nice to your skin, not only considering the gut to skin, but consider the skin to gut and all the things we put on, all the exposures we have, and treat each part of the body individually. Meaning that if you have in the oily parts, don't necessarily apply too many oil-based or even tallow. Tallow is a great product to use on skin for skin dryness. It's very dynamically the same as a lot of our oils that we produce in our tissues. So there's another one. Red light therapy works in many places. But before you do any of these, think of the part of the body, and whether it's a really dry area or an already oily area or a moist area, apply these things with some level of thought on how much moisture you want to trap, how dry it is, how oily it already is, your cleansing routine, etc. Personalize your approach to each and every body part, and that will help create these eubiomic, or these wonderful ecosystems for the bugs that we want to live there. And then, of course, in many cases, we've used what we call probiotics topically, and in many cases, they actually work. And so there's a place for things like red light, probiotics, and certainly the application of things like tallow and other organic oils. That's the take-home message. It's a personalized approach for everyone, and our goal is to create this amazing ecosystem throughout the body, and you'll find that you require a lot less maintenance when that skin biome is happy and healthy, because you won't get these outbreaks as often. You won't have these drynesses. And by the way, that applies to the scalp. There is also a biome of the scalp, and often when we get a fungal overgrowth, we end up with things like, what we call really the derma gets dry and flaky, and that's what we want to avoid. So hopefully you remember to personalize each body site, as well as use the tools that are of natural origin, and I've listed some of those for you. Thanks for your time, because your skin is important, and it's what we all get to see every day, and we want to glow and be happy and healthy, and it is a window into what's going on inside of us. So starting there with that biome is a really great place to start for all of us. Thanks again for joining, and see you next time.